Little feedback.
All right.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening. Good evening.
Did we lose everybody?
K. Paul is here in spirit.
Good afternoon.
We have 3 attendees. If I need to move them over, just let me know.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
I can, yeah.
The thing is weird tonight. It's made me do updates and then it kicked me out twice, and so I don't know what's different about it. It's not as user-friendly as the last time. So Javier's here.
Yep, I'm here.
And then okay, K Paul's on as well. So it looks like we got everybody.
Yep.
Sorry about the delay. For some reason, it wasn't liking me. So. You ready to go? You ready, Burton?
We should be ready to go.
Okay. So at 5:37, we'll call the 4B meeting for the town of Sunnyvale to order. All members are present, minus member Anthony and member Shatter. Open up for public comment.
Okay, can you hear me okay? We do have several hands raised. We have about 10 hands raised right now. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, do we want to start at the top as far as the hands raised goes? We have 10 hands raised.
Okay. Yeah, let me just read through it real quick. 4B Board of Directors invites citizens to address the board on any matter, including items on the agenda, except public hearing items that are included on the agenda. Comments related to public hearings will be heard when the specific hearing starts. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise required by law. The board is not permitted to take any actions or discuss any item not on the agenda. The board may choose to place an item on future agendas. So yes, please just start from the top.
Okay, I'm going to unmute David Scott.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
So, my first opinion is that we should kick Indians out. Chris Nair, you're fuck Indians, dirty street.
Mute that guy, get him off of there.
It looks like some of our attendees are, they've gotten the link and they're using it. Yeah, I'll have to kick him out.
Suck my cock. Shut the fuck up.
Can you kick
have
everybody
about
out?
Yeah, I kicked him out. And it looks like our attendees, they're all joining at the same time, so it looks like we have a lot of attendees that are here to cause issues, so it might not be a good time to take public comment at this time.
Hey, Joseph, this is Susan. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Hey, Eric, let's, how about if we take public comment at the end of the meeting? So we can't not take it since it's
Okay.
open, but we can take it at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
So after public forum is a public hearing. So how do you want to handle that?
We'll have to have a public hearing. Just, if the comments get out of line, we have to cut them off.
Okay.
Thanks,
So
John.
we will defer the public forum to the end of the meeting. We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is public hearing. First off, let me just apologize to anybody that's listening, and specifically to Chris for that comment that was obviously extremely rude and incorrect and should not even be spoken. So public hearing, open or continue public hearing considering testimony and other information provided. Close public hearing and take necessary action with respect to the following. First, hold public hearing, discuss, consider, and act upon Resolution 20-35, a resolution of the 4B Economic Development Corporation to declare the following a project and approve an expenditure for targeted infrastructure to Provident Realty Advisors to promote new or expanded business development in the amount of $12,442 in compliance with Section 501.103 of the Texas Local Government Code.
All right, Mr. President, board members, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this item is, as we work through the property down at Long Creek, the Long Creek Crossing development, where Panda and those items are, this was an item that previous EDC director had worked on, as well as previous town administration and previous public works director. But essentially, they needed their project called for an 8-inch water line, and the then public works director had requested that it be upsized to a 12-inch line, and to promote some additional infrastructure in the future. So this is an item that the difference, this item is the difference in cost from the 8-inch line to the 12-inch line. So it's something that was agreed upon in the past, and it's primarily a housekeeping item. But I did have it listed as a public hearing as well. I wasn't sure if you all were aware of this project. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
This is K. Paul. I wasn't aware of it, but it makes sense because we had to do something similar when we developed Deer Creek back in the day to oversize some things. So I'm ready to go with it if somebody needs a motion or whatever.
Here we're holding a public hearing. Yeah.
Okay.
So anybody in the public hearing?
Joseph, is anybody raising their hand?
We have about 14 hands raised. It looks like, unfortunately, there's people on the internet that repost Zoom meeting information and join at once and try to disrupt meetings, and it looks like...
So that's fine. We need to hit each one, right? Jeff, do you want to give some direction about how quickly we will go to the next one if profanity or anything is used?
Can you discern, I mean, can we discern who's legitimate? What comments, or is it all?
No, we can't. They all have legitimate names, and it looks like one person said they reposted the information on a site that intends to have everyone join and disrupt meetings.
Okay. I say we try to take, open it up to one or two, and if they're both the same, we're going to close the public hearing, given there's no one here to provide comment on whether or not to do this utility improvement in the amount of $12,442. I mean, so let's take one or two. If neither one of them are productive, then let's close the public hearing and move on to the item.
So the public hearing that was about to be opened is opened is specific to this project. Any other comments will be immediately cut off.
Okay, I'm going to unmute the first person. I expect that the comments are going to be extremely inappropriate based on how many people have joined at once. So I'll be ready to person or remove them as needed.
Okay.
Okay. First person is Jonathan Cujo. I'm going to unmute you. Okay, you're unmuted.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to inform you that the person that killed George Floyd should be president of the...
That was to be expected. We have about 13 more hands raised and 19 more attendees, and I expect them to be also adding information that's not relevant.
Let's try one more, and if not, we'll close the public hearing. And we'll do it for both items.
Okay, I'm going to unmute Jonathan Garcia. Jonathan Garcia.
Yes, my name is Jonathan Garcia. I live in 55th Avenue Street, District 1 in the state of Tennessee. I just wanted to say that the way this department has been treating homosexuality is unacceptable, honestly.
Okay, I've removed that person. Not relevant to being discussed.
Eric, with that, I think we can close the public hearing.
Okay. Due to the comments not being relative to the topic at hand, we're closing the public hearing. So we'll continue with discussion of the board. Any further questions or comments, and reviewing through the notes, I see Tracy's email where it obviously states that we were agreed to cover this expense. Based on that and staff's recommendation, I say we move forward with it.
If there's a comment on Facebook that looks legitimate and would like to take public comment from there, I can monitor that under the live stream.
Yeah, please do. Because we are here to get, any legitimate comments, but, these other comments are not needed.
So we close the public forum. I'll make a motion to approve this item as presented.
Are we supposed to do that yet, Eric? Because that's going to be item number 5.
Oh yeah, good point.
So I think we need to do item number 2 in the public hearing, but are we completely closing the public hearing?
For number 2, I think we need to do the same. If we can get any public comment here, I would say just limit it to the first person, given, the information that I guess basically it looks like it's all the same group. But let's see if we can get the first public comment, and if it's not productive, let's shut down the public hearing and then move on to item number 3.
Okay. So item 2 is hold a public hearing to discuss, consider, and act upon resolution 20-36, a resolution of the 4B Economic Development Corporation to declare the following a project and approve an economic development incentive for project STG in an amount not to exceed $50,000 to promote new or expanded business development in compliance with section 505.158 of the Texas Local Government Code.
Okay. Mr. President, board members, as you all know, this project, we've discussed it multiple times in executive session, and basically we need to declare this a project. This incentive is $30,000 up front to help the tenant finish out with finish-out costs for kitchen equipment, with an additional amount up to $20,000 over a 3-year term to continue to assist the tenant with the new business. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, real quick, you and I had discussed it, but this had been reviewed by council as well following our last 4B meeting, and they approved the incentive based on our modifications.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So I guess we'll open the public hearing. Again, all comments need to be relevant to this topic at hand or you'll be immediately disconnected.
Okay, I'm going to, these hands have been raised the entire time, and there's also risk of them presenting something that's offensive. But I will unmute this user, John Wilkes. John
Yes.
Wilkes is muted for public comment.
Wait.
No comment, so I'd hang up on that, cut that one off, move on.
I think everyone in here is probably going to be from that group. It seems like the meeting details were posted on a website where they join Zoom meetings and do this kind of thing.
Well, per our attorney's recommendation, we opened it to 1. Nothing moved on, so we'll close the public hearing. Move on to agenda item number 3. Discuss, consider, and approve the minutes from the April 14th, 2020, April 27, 2020, and May 12, 2020 board meetings. Anybody have any changes or updates on any of those? Or corrections, I should say.
Do we have to approve them individually?
No, you could approve as one motion if that's the desire.
That would be preferred unless there's any changes.
Yeah, I didn't have any questions or changes. I'm happy to make the motion if anybody else, unless anybody else has any questions or changes.
Just want to make a comment on that. 2 of those, board meeting minutes are prior to me joining. So I don't know whether I have to approve all of it or, how you all handle that. Just wanted to.
Yeah, you can vote for all 3, even though you're not a member of 2 of them, because basically approval of minutes is to say they're correct. So like, let's say a new council member, they get elected, they get on city council, they could still approve prior minutes. They could check with the city secretary, are these accurate, and those sort of things. And if they feel it's an accurate depiction of the minutes of that meeting, they can still vote for it, even though let's say they were absent, they could still vote for it, or if they weren't a member, they could still vote for it. So yes, you could vote for all 3.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for clarifying.
So barring any changes or corrections, can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes or the meeting minutes from April 14th, 2020, April 27th, 2020, and May 12th, 2020.
Motion made by member Bradford.
Seconded by Mr. Cash.
Seconded by Mr. Cash. All those in favor, please state your name. Wise.
Bradford.
Torres.
Chris Nair.
Cash.
Motion passes unanimously. Move on to agenda item number 4, discuss, consider, and act upon the May 2020 financial reporting and related items. So turn that over to member Bradford.
Okay, sorry, I'm a little distracted by reading all the chat messages since they decided to publish my address. That's fun. Okay, so in looking at the financials, we had, well, hold on a moment. I had them up in front of me and obviously I clicked on something else. Bear with me here. Okay, so we had sales tax revenue for the month of May of $68,228. This is down obviously from March of the previous year. So that was totally expected. I think we're starting to see the impact of COVID-19 setting in those numbers, and the sales tax revenue. On the expense side, we did have $228,000 of expenses, and the primary expense that was listed, and I see that Phyllis is with us tonight. I wanted to ask you, Phyllis, I noticed we had pre-emergent done on several of the parks, but I was curious to know if that's what is relating to the $193,000 expense, or if there's something else.
We had a 190, can y'all hear me first?
Yes, we can.
Yes, okay. I'm joining here from the office, but I want to just make sure everyone can hear. The $190,000 expense was for the purchase of Jobson Park. We had previously made a $10,000 payment put that in escrow, and then the $190,000 was the remainder of the $200,000 purchase price.
That sounds better than pre-emergent.
Yeah. I should have been able to figure that out, Phyllis. Golly, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I was thinking of it. I wouldn't have expected it to come out that soon, so it didn't even cross my mind. Normally, when we purchase something, it takes several months. So, all right, good deal. Okay, so the other expenses then, in addition to the Jobson Park payment, just relate to our normal payroll expenses, and we did get some COVID-19 incentives. Not everyone used the entire $5,000. Some did $2,500, but it was good to see a few businesses utilize that benefit. And then, of course, we just had our normal, other website maintenance and legal fees and whatnot. So our ending fund balance for the end of May was $3,034,242. And I did wonder, though, and maybe this is something, I know that we've talked about how the sales tax is, we don't get specifics on that each month. But I did notice an interesting trend. So it looks like from 2017, 2018, so 2 years ago to 1 year ago, the sales tax revenue went down in March, April, and May. And of course, we know it's going to go down again this year because of COVID, but I'm just curious to know if there's any insight as to what am I forgetting as to why it would have went down from year before last to last year? Just curious.
In the past, the comment was construction of major projects. But...
If you had a dip in construction cost, or if you had a major project that was, in progress, that completed, that could cause a dip in those sales tax.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, well, I didn't have any other information to share on the financials unless there was something that Phyllis wanted to share or point out.
No, I don't have anything at this time.
Any other questions on the financials? I'll make a motion to approve the May 2020 finances as presented. Give a second.
I second that. Chris Nair.
Member Nair seconds. All those in favor, please state your name. Wise.
Bradford.
Chris.
Torres.
Okay, Paul.
Motion passes unanimously. Move on to item number 5, discuss, consider, and act upon approving an expenditure for targeted infrastructure to Provident Realty Advisors to promote new or expanded business development in the amount of $12,442 in compliance with section 501.103 of the Texas Local Government Code. So the extra expenditure for the larger pipe. Any further questions on that? Not, I previously attempted to make a motion in the wrong time, so I'll make that motion again to approve.
Second.
Okay, Paul.
Seconded by member Cash, K. Paul Cash. All those in favor, please state your name.
Bradford.
Nair.
Torres.
Cash.
Wise. Motion passes unanimously. Then move on to item number 6, discuss, consider, and act upon approving an economic development incentive performance agreement for project STG in an amount not to exceed $50,000, promote new or expanded business development in compliance with section 505.158 of the Texas Local Government Code.
Quick question. Is that what we used to refer to as Project PAW? Did we change it?
Yeah, it's the same project.
Okay. I was like, the numbers match, so.
Yep. So this is as we discussed in our last meeting, and what we came back with the, as Burton explained, the additional requirements over the 3-year period, I believe. Is that correct, Burton?
That's correct.
I do have one question. I guess it goes to the agreement, if I may.
Yeah.
In section 5B, or at least the version I've got, there's still a blank for the percentage of sales tax they would get reimbursed over the 3-year period. Is that 100%, or what is that amount, Burton?
Good question. The amount, I know it's up to the maximum amount. But
so all that they generate at their facility, they get reimbursed 100% of their type B that they generate over the 3-year period up to 20,000.
Yeah, I mean, from the best of my knowledge, I mean it's up to 20,000 over the course of 3 years if it happens all in 1 year.
Okay.
However that is.
Then there should be one edit to the, if you're inclined to approve tonight, just under section 5B, we should insert 100% there. That basically they're going to get 100% of what they generate of the type B sales tax. With the max will be $20,000 over the term of the agreement, which is through September 30th of 2023.
On page 44 of the agenda packet. So I agree with that.
And just as an additional note on there, there was another blank that, or I guess it wasn't a blank, but it was some discussion about the September 30th date. And I did talk to the applicants, and they feel like that's a good date, hopefully sooner.
Okay. So I think, board, if you're inclined to approve, you could approve the agreement with that one edit.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments prior to a motion?
No.
Somebody like to make a motion including those edits?
I'll make a motion that we approve the performance agreement with Project STG or whatever it is. And with the correction in section 5B to show 100%.
Motion made by member Cash.
Second.
Seconded by member Bradford. All those in favor, please state your name.
Bradford.
Cash.
Torres.
Nair.
Motion passes unanimously. Move on to item number 7, discuss, consider the fiscal year 2020-2021 proposed budget. I guess we'll turn that back over to member Bradford.
Actually, if Phyllis is available, I'm going to punt it to her.
Okay.
Okay. We're just going to include it in your packet was our proposal for the 4B budget for the year 2020-2021. We had previously met with President Weiss and Treasurer Sarah Bradford and kind of went over some of these numbers. I'm going to go through these kind of line by line so that y'all can see where we're at. We have budgeted in the revenues for next year sales tax receipts in the amount of $698,625. That is a reduction of 20% overall from the original budget for the year 1920. Now, we are still monitoring the sales tax receipts, so there is a chance that that number could still move a little bit, and it could maybe move up a little bit, but there's also a possibility that it could move down a little. We are anticipating getting some sales tax numbers hopefully later this week that might give us a better idea what kind of impact COVID-19 is having on the sales tax. The interest earned is being budgeted at $7,800. That number could also move a little bit depending on what we do with the sales tax receipts. So we're budgeting a total of $706,425 in revenues for 2021. Moving on to the expenses. The wages and salaries, the labor and benefits, which is your wages and salaries, your TMRS, the payroll taxes, the insurance, all of those items now are going to be funded by 4B at 100%. They were previously split between 4A and 4B at 50-50. So this year you're going to see an increase, and that's because 4B will be picking up 100% of that cost. The landscape maintenance contract is budgeted at $13,000, and that's a bit of a reduction from prior year, and that is because Burton was able to do an RFP for those services. This is a landscape maintenance contract at the Four Corners, and the contract that was awarded came in at less than what we were paying for this particular service for current year. Promotional services, that is a line item that has to be budgeted at less than or equal to 10% of the sales tax receipts. So we have budgeted that at 10% of what we're showing our sales tax, which will be $69,863. The park maintenance, which is going to include your maintenance for Jobson Vineyard, Town Center Park, the Samuel North, New Hope, Long Creek Crossing, to include your maintenance on your water fountains, the aeration, weed control, emergent, restocking of the ponds, and just general overall maintenance. We increased that from $75,000 to $80,000, and that was primarily due to the addition of that Long Creek Crossing area that 4B will be called upon to maintain. General office supplies, we are leaving it flat at the $3,000. Dues, memberships, and subscriptions, we are leaving that at $11,500. planning, which is currently budgeted at $100,000. That is for the Parks Master Plan. We won't be budgeting anything in that line item for next year. The legal services, we have budgeted at $15,000. Outside training expense is flat at our amended budget amount of $3,500. Other miscellaneous expense, which is what we use for the board dinners, lunches, items such as that, we have budgeted at $2,000. That is a decrease from this year's budget, and that is due to previously we had included the previous EDC director's relocation expenses in that line item. Transfers out, indirect costs, that is 4B's transfer into the general fund for support of the parks budget, which is currently running 33% of that parks budget. Right now is $215,000. We have not finalized the general fund budget for next year, so that dollar amount could move a little bit, maybe up a little bit, or maybe even down a little bit once we have finalized the general fund. The incentives we have budgeted at $400,000. Town beautification to include holiday decorations, street banners, streetscapes, we have left at our current budgeted amount of $25,000. Parks and trails, which normally includes just for us, parks and playground equipment, that's at $25,000. It was budgeted this year at $265,000, but that was amended at mid-year to cover the cost of the purchase of Jobson Park. We don't have any money budgeted in capital improvements. Glacier Park improvements was budgeted at $500,000, and that is to take the next steps in the planning of that glacier acreage over there, the barn construction. The regional rails to trails is also budgeted at $550,000, and that is phase 1 construction on the rails to trails project. That would bring your total expenses to $2,034,933, which would be leave the 4B with an ending fund balance of $512,407. In addition to these two items, in addition to the overall budget, we also prepared 2 additional items for 4B to review, and they are on a supplemental to the budget. Those 2 items are for the funding of a concrete pad, batting cage supports, and netting at Jobson Park for $10,153.29, and also for funding a development study for the downtown area. And I'm going to let Burton expand on those 2 items if you have any questions on those. I included a sheet also, though, so that you all would be able to see that if it was after the supplementals there, it kind of gives you a summary of your fund balance, showing you where your beginning fund balance was at the beginning of this year, what our projected revenues are, what our expenditures are, and if we were to fund the supplementals. So originally, after going over the proposed budget, I had 4B with an ending fund balance, a projected ending fund balance of $512,407. If 4B did decide to approve adding these supplementals, that would give you a projected ending fund balance for 2021 of $477,252. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hey, Phyllis, this is Sarah. So thank you for going over the full amended budget. I was just following along with my notes, and everything ties up with what we talked about. I am curious, though, about the supplemental items and why we would not just tap one of our existing budget lines rather than, I guess, what is the purpose behind referring to it as a supplemental item?
It is, one, it is not a part of what we originally, excuse me, discussed when we sat down and went over it with both yourself and Mr. Weiss. And secondly, it's not, these are projects really that are kind of above what was already planned for 2021. So we put them on a supplemental listing to see, give 4B an opportunity to discuss it and to make a decision as to whether or not you want to fund those two items. And once that decision is made, it would become a part of your budget for 2021.
So, but if we decided to fund both of these, we actually could potentially take them out of what we have in our budget now, don't you think?
You could, if you don't already have something specific for a particular line item.
You know, like parks and trails, it says playground equipment. You know, you could use the baseball cage for under that line item if we wanted to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to, I guess the only point I'm trying to get across is that that if we have money in our the summary that you put together at the end, which I love, by the way, I love how you break things down this way for us. But if this summary assumes that we're going to spend everything that we've budgeted for in our current fiscal year,
that's correct,
2019 to 2020, then if we find a way to cover these 35,000 in our existing budget, then we wouldn't have to do the 35,000 on top. I guess I'm just concerned, this kind of makes it look like we're double counting that a little bit, but I know it'll all flesh out.
That's correct, and we can do that. We can identify under the Parks and Trails line item, the 692-9213 line item where we have parks and playground equipment. We can specifically, identify an item in there for the batting cages there at Jobson Park. Just keeping in mind that once we do that any other items, that would come out of that now would be down to like about $15,000. So if you had another item in mind, as we put this together, did you have an idea as to any type of playground equipment that you wanted to purchase for that $25,000?
We haven't talked
that
about
would take some of that money.
Yeah, no, we haven't talked about playground equipment since the library proposition was made a year or two ago, and that kind of got set aside with the construction of the water tower. So I don't see us going out and shopping for playground equipment in the next 3 months for the current fiscal year, but I could be wrong.
Right.
Okay. What line item, the supplemental for the downtown study, if that is something that 4B would want to fund, we would probably have to add, I don't know that we have a line item that would cover that $25,000 cost right now.
So I'm trying to go back to the detail here, agenda thing.
But my thought was we could add it to the planning line item and put a budget in there where we're not currently budgeting anything for 2021. We could add the $25,000 to that line item.
That seems like a logical place for it.
Yeah. Good question on the downtown concept planning. Do we have any additional information that we can, Burton, that you can share?
Yeah, it's been going on for a number of years, and so we can share what all's been done so far, and he can give us the latest news. But
yeah, so So this, I guess the downtown development is actually, it's on the list of projects for capital improvement. This would just be a study in terms of seeing what the viability is for that area. You know, there's been some discussion about business recruitment, things like that, using that as a kind of an economic development generator in that area where you're pushing commercial aspects and perhaps civic activities, things of that nature down there that kind of promote Sunnyvale's image as a rural small town.
So Chris, are you familiar with the location?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and there was a subcommittee, so it was a group of 4B and council and former 4A that were on it. And I can't remember, there's probably other people on it as well that have been
okay,
kind of a planning committee in the past, and I don't know what the current status of it is, but
I believe we're in the process of trying to get the committee back together to start discussing things again.
okay.
Thank you for that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Chris, go ahead.
Oh, thank you for providing that update.
Phyllis, I was trying to search for that budget detail. I finally got it up in front of me. Which line item were you saying you could put the 25,000? Because it looks like we still have, well, I guess the existing 97,000 we have left in our planning budget is for the master plan. So I guess we can't use that.
It is, yes. So my thought was that we don't currently have any funds budgeted in that line item, that planning line item for next year. We could add the 25,000 to that line item.
So we wouldn't think the 25,000, if we approved it, would be spent in the current fiscal year?
I am going to have to defer to Burton on that because I'm not sure if they are at a point, and if the Susan is still online with us, I'm not sure if they're at a point to where they're actually ready to move forward with that this current year.
Burton, you want me to take that? Okay. Can you hear me all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Burton and I are working on, the council members all gave additional names to us to add to the committee. If you remember, that committee was really a pretty small group to begin with. I think it had 2 people from 4A, 2 from 4B, 1 or 2 from council, and then a few of us staff. So it was a really small group. So I have a list of suggested people. We kind of pumped the brakes a little bit because of COVID, because a lot of it has to do with getting out in the community, having community discussion about what the vision is for our downtown. And so I have been in a lot of communication, as has Burton, with the consultant that we've been talking with. So we still need to appoint all those committee members. So I see that taking a couple of more months just to get them all to agree to serve, get them appointed, hold a few meetings to orient everybody. So I think we are talking about pretty close to the end of the fiscal year before we would contract for this. And then, then once it kicks off, that's when the bills would start rolling in. So my inclination would be that it would be next fiscal year. Burton, do you concur with that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think realistically, by the time we get everyone together, and yeah, I think we should, if you all are in favor of it, I think we should probably plan for it to be next fiscal year.
Okay, that makes sense. And then Phyllis, you said the batting cages, if we approved it, would at Jobson Park would come out of the 25,000 town beautification budget.
The 25,000 in the parks and trails. Line item 6929213.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're talking about again for next year. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah,
I was
any...
thinking of a way to put it in this year's budget, but okay. That's why I made the comment I did about not thinking we were going to be buying any playground equipment in the next 3 months. So.
Right.
Yeah, but if we have room in that 265, we could do it this year instead of push it into next year's 25 and still save next year's budget.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 60,000 in parks and trails right now. And I don't think we've spent on anything. So, okay, well, I guess we can talk about that more later. I was just curious about the supplemental piece in relation to the new budget. So do we need to vote and approve the revised budget?
No, not at this time. This was really an opportunity for the board to review what we have put together. It will be going before the council at some point for their review. 4B will have an opportunity to look at it again, and we do still have a few moving numbers. So 4B will have an opportunity to look at it again next month in your July meeting, and at that time, the 4B board would approve it. But if anybody has any changes or recommendations for changes that you'd like for me to make to what we show to be proposed right now, now would be the time to mention those.
Yeah, the only thing I don't, until it's actually truly a funded grant, it's just an ask, but it would be neat if there was a line item somewhere or a separate page that just shows grants applied for, because if we receive anything, then it helps the bottom line number. But I know you got to look at it from, if you don't get anything from the outside, what the bottom line number is. But
we can certainly put that together. We kind of include it in your financials each month, like we do the sales tax chart. We can, in the incentive list, we can include a list of those grants that have been applied for and, whether or not we've heard back.
Right. I think year over year, we're going to have a higher likelihood of achieving them the more that we work at it. Thank you. Any other discussions or questions on the 2020-2021 proposed budget?
Thank you, Phyllis. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. So then we will move on to the next item, number 8, update on COVID-19 business incentive program.
So just an update. We've had a total of 8 applications. We've spent about half of the. We've spent about $25,000 that we've granted. 2 of the 8 applications, 2 of them have still been in review. We've requested additional information and just waiting to see if we get any of that. And then we have funded 6. So more than likely, I haven't had any new applications in the last 2 weeks. I know Member Shatter's not with us tonight, but I know she was working on her end, reaching out to businesses through the chamber and things of that nature. So we'll keep trying to put the word out there and just see what happens.
Okey-doke. Tonight's agenda was short and we didn't have some of our wrap up items like future agenda items and things like that. We're going to work on that for next month. It's a little harder to put together than it might appear. So thank you, everybody, for tonight. Any other questions or comments?
We did we not move the public comment to the end of the meeting?
That's correct.
We're going to go through that one more time.
Well, I don't know if anybody's still there. If they are, they're probably more apt to provide, you know, comments that are more germane to our you know, our EDC business.
Considering there are no now's a great time to open up for public comments.
If their first name starts with John, that's a red flag.
You said there's no hands raised, so we will reopen the public hearing at this time. So please take the first person with their hand raised.
Yeah, I
nobody,
think you can close it.
Yeah, nobody coming forward. We will close the public hearing. And then one more time, any other questions or comments before we adjourn?
All those guys are named John, by the way. Y'all notice that?
I did notice that.
All right, any other questions or comments? We will adjourn at 6:32 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.